Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I wonder how today is gonna go. It's our first day. It's our first day of tech coaching. How do you think this is gonna work out? So, as part of the whole product offering for Silicon Dojo, I decided to start doing the whole tech coaching thing again. So I did this before. I did hundreds of Skype calls. Plus, I've met God knows how many people in the real world. Um, Kind of trying to give them advice about their careers, their projects, or whatever else. So I've opened up Mondays. I've opened up Mondays to free tech coaching on Silicon Dojo. So you come, you sign up for 30 minutes, and then we do a Zoom, and then we do a Zoom. Zoom, 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 as they say. We're gonna see how this goes. We're gonna see how this goes. So it's the first day. I got four people signed up. Oh, boysies. Beyond that, I did 5 classes this morning. So I'm continuing to work on the self-study program for Introduction to Python. Let's see, we've done seven. We've done 7 modules are completely finished now. Then five are currently in the encoding process. So that means by the end of the day, we'll have 12. And, I don't know, there's like 43 total. So down to about 30 more to go. So yeah, probably not this week. We'll probably not have that posted this week. Maybe next week. And then the thing is, like as I'm doing it, it's like, we also need this session. Oh, we also need this session. And you know what would be good if we had some more labs. So right now I have 40. I need to complete 43 modules as it stands total. And I think there's probably gonna be like 15 more added. Like as I do modules, I add work. That's the other thing a lot of people don't talk about with startups, where you like bust your ass. You actually bust your ass, and even when you actually are hitting the metrics you wanted to hit, the problem is that the scope of the problem increases. The scope of the problem increases, and that's the thing that can bury you. But anyways, I'm just moving along. I'm just moving the ball down the field. Whether introduction to Python is done this week, which it won't, or next week, maybe, or maybe the first week of February, it will be done. It will be done because thankfully my mortgage isn't riding on it. Though DonorBox exists. DonorBox exists. Anyways, the main topic that I wanted to talk about today is validation. Because I found this interesting. And the trouble with validation and how needing validation will screw you up as a founder of anything. Whether you're trying to found the next Facebook or whether you're trying to found a fever dream, if you need validation, you're gonna be screwed, right? And I think about this a lot because, again, in the modern world, people really want to be validated. Is my problem with the whole identitarian thing? I just don't think it's going to work out for them. Like, there's some stuff with the whole identities out there where I have a disagreement with. Again, consent. Consent. Women have an absolute right to consent. Anybody who tries to tread on the right of a woman's consent is a piece of garbage. But really, beyond that, I don't care. Like, my whole qualm with all this begins and ends with women's consent. Beyond that, don't care. You want to wear whatever you want to wear, do it, right? But I think one of the interesting things, though, is not only do people want to do whatever it is they want to do, but they want to be validated for it. It's like, oh, that's not going to work out so well. If you want to wear a dress, by all means, wear a dress. If you want people to validate you for wearing a dress, I just don't think it's going to work out. It's not about morals, it's not about ethics, it's not about what time in history it is. It's just validation. Validation is a weird thing. I was thinking about this because I was talking with somebody about a month ago, I guess. It was about a month ago, and we're sitting there, and this person came to me. I want to be clear. Came to me. I was stone cold sober at my bottle of water. I've stopped drinking alcohol. Too much alcohol in Asheville. Anyway, so I have my little bottle of water there. I'm just sitting, and they come up to me to ask me my advice, my thoughts. So I'm sober, and they came to me. Anyway, so they walk up to me, and they start having their idea, right? So they have an idea of, Asheville, post the flood, after the flood, and basically providing support to people. So providing support to people and basically offering like education and support for people to be able to get remote jobs. Right? Because that sounds like a good idea. That sounds like an amazing idea. Anyways, nothing wrong with the concept. Nothing wrong with the concept. But basically the idea is like, okay, so the cost of living in Asheville has skyrocketed. The economy in Asheville cannot support the cost of living in Asheville. Ergo, the only way for people in Asheville to make enough money to stay in Asheville, especially after the flood, is to get remote jobs. Again, fine. I'm in the face of it. I have no quibble on it with the face of it. Yes. Yes. But, right. Anyways, so sitting there talking about it, and again, since I was doing the tech education, and since I've done Silicon Dojo here and all those kinds of things, they wanted my advice on how they might be able to make this work out. And basically, one of the things that I told them is to make sure that you get buy-in. It's like if you don't have buy-in in Asheville, you're just dead in the damn water, right? You can be in a lot of places. You can be in a city or you can be a large metro area where there is enough population that there's something called long tail economics. And so what long tail economics means is basically in a world of limitless shelf space, there will always be some amount of demand for almost anything. Ergo, you can sell almost anything at a profit in the modern world, right? So if you go back to when I was young, right? Walden Books or Crown Books were the only bookstores out there. And they're about 1,000 square feet. They're about as big as like the bottom floor of my house. And that was the entire damn bookstore, right? And so basically you could only buy the books that they literally sold in that store. You could order things, but we didn't even have the internet. So even if there was a book you might want to read that you could order, you probably didn't know that it even existed, right? Again, I used to go to Terry Pratchett when I first started reading Terry Pratchett back in the day. I literally would go to used bookstores just to get some Terry Pratchett books because it wasn't always a given you could get your hands on it, right? And that was the thing, though. So back then, right, you had Danielle Steele, you had all the New York Times bestsellers, and so Walden Books and Crown Books and those kind of bookstores would always sell the bestsellers because they know they could actually sell them. If shelf space is limited, you want to put crap on the shelf that's going to sell. Right. And so the idea was there was a lot of product out there that basically would have some demand, but wasn't enough demand that it would get on shelves. And so the idea with the internet, and again, the world of Amazon and that type of thing, is if you have limitless shelf space, then there's the idea of long tail economics, right? The demand for something may go down, but it never hits zero. So as long as you're far enough above zero, you can actually become quite rich doing weird things, right? Anyways, and so one of the curious things, if you're in a large population center, you can have a degree of long tail economics, especially in the modern world of the internet, because even if a large percentage of the population doesn't care about what you do, even a fraction of a percent that does might be profitable. Like one of my old employees was actually Albanian. It was an Albanian refugee, and he had a website that was devoted to Albanian music videos. A true story. He actually made a decent amount of money off this Albanian music video website. And again, this is back 15, 16 years ago at this point. Anyways, and I remember talking to him one day, and I was like, I don't understand how you make money off this Albanian music video website. I was like, how many Albanians can there be? Like, what's the percentage of the population? And he was like, oh, yeah, I mean, percentage of the population is almost nothing. But almost nothing is still like 500,000 people, right? So there's like 500,000 Albanian diaspora after the disaster that happened over there. And so again, like the percentage of the population is infinitesimal. The actual number is actually shockingly big, right? So again, if you have the internet, then there's enough demand that he was making a decent chunk of money off of doing Albanian music videos. So anyways, if you're in other places, right? If you're in the Research Triangle, have I told you how much I love the Research Triangle? Anyways, if you're in the Research Triangle, if you're in Charlotte, if you're in Washington, D.C., if you're in Boston, the population is so large that even if on a percentage basis, the demand for your service isn't huge, on a per number basis, it might be pretty significant. Again, how many people do you actually need? 500 people that care about your product is probably more than most people need, right? So if you're in a place that has 3 million people, 500 isn't even a blip on the radar. And so you might be able to do it. Here's the thing. In Asheville, though, the population is small. Again, 90,000 people in Asheville. The entire metro areas might be 400,000. Plus, it's a wonky area. It's a wonky area, and so you got to get your buy-in first. You got oh, believe me. Oh, but don't do what I do. Don't do what I do. Anyways, you got to get your buy-in first. If you don't get buy-in from the local population for whatever you're going to do, you're just not going to go anywhere. You're just gonna spin around in circles, right? That's just kind of how it is, and that's what I found with Silicon Dojo. Again, people just really don't care that much about tech education here. Oh, they'll pat me on the head. Oh, they'll support me with a thumbs up. They're like, "Good for you." So, are you gonna come to a class? No. Are you gonna tell anybody about the class? No. Are you gonna sponsor me? No. Are you gonna provide me any actual support? No. But good for you. Anyways, and that's what I learned. That's what I learned the hard way. Anyways, so I'm talking with this person, and they're talking about their idea for, again, training people up with like remote workers. And again, functionally, it's a good idea. But again, there's that whole question of, even if it's a good idea, will the people support it? Right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him eat sushi. I mean, right? If the horse doesn't want to eat sushi, fucking horse ain't gonna eat sushi, right? It's like peanut butter, right? Remember Afghanistan? My God, America, we do some stupid crap. Anyway, so we were bombing the crap out of Afghanistan way back 20 years ago when we were freeing Afghanistan from the Taliban. How well that worked out. Anyways, we were bombing the crap out of Afghanistan, but we wanted to prove how good we were. We're good bombing people. So, anyways, one of the things that we started to do is we started to airdrop food shipments to Afghanistan. So not only can we drop bombs out of planes, but we can drop food too. Anyways, so we're dropping food. And one of the things that was in the food supplies was peanut butter. Because here in the United States, peanut butter is a well-known food, right? Peanut butter is peanut butter. It's high calorie, high protein, generally good food unless you're allergic to it, relatively inexpensive. Everybody in the United States either loves or at least knows what peanut butter is. The Afghanis like didn't. They literally didn't know what the fuck peanut butter was. They were using peanut butter to to grease the axles of their bicycles. I mean, think about it. If you don't know what the hell peanut butter is, if you've never seen peanut butter before in your life, and you squeeze a little peanut butter out, you're like, huh? Well, I guess it's an interesting kind of lubrication. You don't think you're gonna eat it. So, anyways, we're trying to feed the people we're also bombing by giving them peanut butter. And that's nice. You can give food to hungry people, but if they either don't know what the hell it is or just don't want it, doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to consume it, right? And that's one of the interesting things that I found here in Asheville is, yeah, it's a place. It is what it is. It is what it is. And so I was telling this person this. I was telling this person this. I was like, look, you have to get validation first. Here again, maybe you'll get validated. I'm not saying one way or the other. It's a good idea, but I think getting validation for what you're going to try to do is going to be much more difficult than you realize, and actually getting people to show up. So they were talking about like doing classes or whatever. So 5 or 10 classes. And the interesting thing was they were talking about getting office space. Well, I was offered this office space and I was offered this support. And it was interesting, all of this stuff that they were offered that had nothing to do with people showing up. Did not say they had 20 people that are dying to come to these classes. They had office space and they had this and they had the other. They had all these resources. Anyways, nobody wanted to show up though. And so the curious thing was, I told him, I was like, look, you got to verify. You got to figure out whether or not anybody here actually wants the product, and then go from there, and then figure out what they actually want. Again, do they want to do it in person, or maybe it's Zoom? Maybe it's Zoom. Maybe again, even here, maybe it's doing stuff on Zoom. Again, I don't know, and that's the thing about going out there and actually trying to create your own fever dream. But anyways, I thought that was interesting with this. I'm sitting there and talking with them. Right, came to me. I'm not drunk. I'm giving them honest, reasonable advice here, not blowing them out of the water because they actually seem like a decent thing. And the interesting thing is the person looked at me and was like, wow, I'm glad I'm not in the same headspace I was a couple of years ago. And I was like, what? And they were like, yeah, I mean, if you had told me this a couple of years, I'd just be done. I just give up. And I was like, what? Wait a minute, you come to me for advice. I actually give you reasonable advice and tell you your idea sounds good, but it's questionable about whether this area will actually support it. And that is what would have killed your idea dream in the past. Oh, that's a horrible thing to contemplate. And the more I think about it, is like if the person said that, probably killed their idea now too. But I think that's one of the interesting things that I find with so many people is they want validation. They don't want opinions. They don't want advice. They don't want mentorship. They don't want math. They want validation. They want to come up to you and you be like, wow, that's amazing. That's a great idea. You should definitely go after it. They don't want people to be, okay, let me listen. Let me listen to your idea. Let me think about where you're at and where you're in. Let me think about my personal experience, my lived experience with this kind of situation, and let me give you a real answer or response. Most people are looking for validation. And the thing that I'll tell you is if you're looking for validation from the outside world, you're going to be screwed. You're going to be screwed. Whether you want to create the next Facebook or whether you want to wear a dress, if you're looking for validation from the outside world, you're not going to get it. You're just not going to get what you think you're going to get. And so you have to find internal, intrinsic reasons for whatever you're doing. You have to validate what you're doing based off of yourself, right? You have to believe to the degree that it doesn't really matter what anybody else thinks. Again, this is one of the things that I find fascinating about my life. Eli, you don't understand. Bucko, you don't understand. Do you get how many people call me a goddamn moron? I am the smartest moron you're ever going to meet in your life. Eli, you're so smart. I just don't understand how you can be so stupid. I don't understand how those two things keep going in the same damn sentence by so many people. Right, again, I look at that with like Silicon Dojo. Again, the whole idea, authorities, gatekeepers, free India, like how is this bet? And again, I am begging for money. Again, there's a donor box link, but I'm not begging that much for money. It's not like I'm starving, not like on the side of the road starving to get this going. But people call me morons all the time. Yeah, multiple times a week. Again, I get the ideas, people. I get everybody. I get everybody. Everybody trying to put me in my place. Again, I want you to think about this. I have a college degree. I have military experience. I built a business. I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube. I'm married. Got a house. Like, I'm almost 50. Again, the real question that I want answered is how old do you have to be? What do you have to do for people to stop treating you like you're a damn moron? I just want to know. At one point, can people just simply disagree with you without trying to call you stupid? Anyways, but my point is here, even with all of that, on a damn near daily basis, I keep getting called stupid, and people try to take my knees out from under me. And so if you desperately need the validation, I want to tell you, life is gonna suck. All life is gonna suck for you because you're just not gonna get it out of people. Um, and so to be careful about that, because it's very interesting just sitting there talking to that person. And then just again giving very reasonable responses. And like I said, my real response was just verify anybody around here cares about what you're doing. It's like, oh man, a couple years ago this would have destroyed me. It's like, what, getting advice would have destroyed you? Oh Bucko. Oh Bucko. I want these other people's lives. I want these other people's lives. These other people's lives sound so nice. Like, that would Terry. Oh God. Anyways, I ever tell you about the time I was mopping my own mom's crap off the floor? The crap that my own mother died in. I had to mop that shit off that shit literally off the floor. That's one of my lived experiences. I mean, the thought of being wrecked because somebody gave me advice that I didn't like. Oh, that sounds so pleasant. But anyways. So it's something to ponder, something to think about, because that's the big thing that I get concerned. Like there's these mindsets, like the Gen Z mindset. And again, not the Gen Zers themselves, but there's these mindsets that go with the generations. And one of the things I get really concerned about, like the Gen Z mindset, and again, everybody has it now. It's the Boomers and the Millennials and the Gen Xers. Is this need for validation? It's not only I need to be able to do what I need to do. Right? It's I need you to validate what I'm doing is correct. I don't care who you are. That is a road to severe depression. So, anyways, just something to think about. Because yeah, it's a long, hard road. If you're trying to get validation from brother, you're just not going to get it. Like everything that I've done, people have laughed at. Again, when I did YouTube, people laughed at me. When I started being a consultant, people laughed at me. Like everything I do, people just like, what the fuck? And then I get out the other side. They're like, oh, okay. I guess it worked out for you. Surprising. Anywho, so there you go. Don't look for validation. Don't look for validation. Validate yourself. Why, when you're talking to the person in the mirror, can you explain to the person in the mirror why it is you're doing what you're doing? If you can do that, you'll be fine enough at the end of the day. If you're looking for folks in the outside world, it's going to be a crap show. Not to mention all the other people out there that, again, are just trying to ego boost or whatever and beat you down just so they can feel better about themselves. But that's its own disaster. So anyways, some things to think about. So with that, I've got to go have lunch so I can get some food in my stomach so I can go and talk for 4. I have 4 of these meetings. I have 4 of these meetings today. How's this going to go? I don't know. We'll do a video on it. See y'all later.